Good evening and welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and my cousin Todd. We have a full show for you tonight. Today, the U.S. Senate declared unconstitutional the two articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. One for willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law, and another for breach of public trust. NASCAR with Steven as he talks about how two pit crew members of Kyle Larson's team were suspended. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is moving forward with the Ukraine bill despite Marjorie Taylor Greene attempts to gain support to oust him. The NBA bans the Toronto Raptors center Jonte Porter for gambling violations, and O.J. Simpson is dead at the age of 76. Trump and his hush money trial in New York City, as we talk about baseball star Shohei Ohtani's ex-translator, who turns himself in after allegedly stealing $16 million. Ormel Pork settles a pork price fixing suit for $11 million. And the clean slate law. Is it available in your state? That and more, if we can fit it in. First up, Stephen with NASCAR. Yay, Stephen made it. Let's talk about Kyle Larson's two pit crew. The pit crew got a little bit in trouble. And talk about who won in NASCAR, Stephen.
I can't even remember who won the race now. It was so crazy. It was it was the craziest race I've ever seen. It was so bizarre. It was
What was bizarre about it?
It was so many. They had to restart. You know, they had a green and checkered flag over and over and over again. And I had to leave.
Like cousin Todd. Wait, for people like cousin Todd, what does a green and checkered flag mean?
It means they got one more chance. They got a chance to make it, you know, unless somebody crashes, and it just keeps happening and happening and happening. The race going on in like to overtime. It kept going on. It was unbelievable. And I guess whoever won is somebody I blocked out because I didn't want them to win. But it's a crazy track, but nothing like we get. But this one I'm more concerned about is Talladega for everybody. This is the track where there could be 30 cars wreck at one time, and they're going so fast. But this is
That's coming up. When will that?
Yeah, that's coming up this weekend. This Sunday at 3:00. And it's a 2.5 mile track. It's like Daytona, but it's more treacherous usually than Daytona is. It's just crazy. But there's a few guys here that are really good. Larson that you talked about. Bubba is great here. Bubba's great at the super speedways, and he really needs this. He's out of the top 10. So you know, and his partner Hamlin is up in I think he's third. So he's pulling the team away, but you got William Byron. He can do well here. It's a great race to watch. Like I said, I couldn't see the last 10 laps of this last race. I had to run out the door. It was really upsetting. But I'll let you know before the show over who won the race. I'm just drawing a blank. I'm just blocked on it. And yeah, there was just so much going on. And Larson, they had trouble. Everybody ran into issues. Everybody had trouble. To me, it was like watching a Pee Wee Herman movie or something. It was comical. It was just over the top. It was just craziness. And it took forever for it to end, but it's going to be crazy coming up this week. And I need to see the end of this race. I haven't seen it yet. Okay, but everybody should watch Talladega.
So this article I'm going to share by Yashmani, written at sportskeeda.com. says, and it was written today, says that, let me share my screen. I'm sorry. So everyone like Cousin Todd can see it because I know he's dying to see. 12 million worth Kyle Larson's pit crew in hot water as two members are suspended after a Texas wheel loss.
Yeah, that was crazy. He said, I think I
That's
got a flat. So he's talking to his crew. He said, I think I have a rear, rear tire's flat. He said, I think I don't have a rear flat, a rear tire anymore. It just came off and started going by itself. And that's huge. And that was good for me because Larson is great. But I bet against him with William Byron. I had William Byron beating him. And when that tire was riding beside him, I said, I got this because he was going to beat William Byron. He was on the starting first. He had everything going his way. So I was glad to see that. But it's going to hurt his pit crew. That's a big penalty. That's a huge penalty. And did they say whether or not they so far have they let anybody? Stacy, do you
yeah.
know if
Let's
they're
let's
making?
scroll down and let's scroll
Okay.
down and see. I didn't read the article. He was a former champion, last season's runner up. Let's see.
Breaking
Carl
up here.
momentum was cut short after an incident in the 117th lap.
Hmm.
He was still leading the race when the right rear wheel of his Chevy came off.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed that Calvin Teague, the tire changer, and Brandon Johnson, responsible for the jack, have been suspended for the
Okay.
next two NASCAR Cup Series races as a consequence of the wheel loss incident.
Right. Right. That's this terrible thing. I don't know how long they could be suspended, but they need them.
They
He
said they're
needs them
suspended
bad.
for two. Look
Okay.
here. It says they're suspended for the next two NASCAR Cup Series races.
Hmm.
You
Why did
see
the
that?
tire come off?
Yeah.
Why did the tire
Yeah,
come
because
off?
the tire came off. They
Why did
didn't.
the
They have
tire?
one hub now instead
Why?
of six. Or I mean five. They have one in the middle, and if you don't tighten it up just right, it'll pop. The wheel will pop off. That's happening now. They used to have five lug nuts that you had to put on. Now it's just one big lug about this big, and if you don't get it just right, sometimes it'll just pop off, and the wheel will come too.
Okay, so here's your answer. Stephen, you want to read it?
Yeah, Chase Elliott. See, I didn't want Chase Elliott, so I really did. I put him out of my head. He started back in the pack, I think. Shoot, maybe 24th. I didn't have him at all. He wasn't with, so it was such a disappointment. But the race overall did really well for me with everybody else that turned out for me. So I'm not complaining. It was just he was just buzzed right out of my head. I was just dark spot. I don't even want to see it. But I'm
So it
happy
sounds
for him.
like
He
to
needed
me,
he needed it. He needed a win. So I'm happy for him. I like to celebrate with the drivers when they win.
that you bet a lot and you bet a lot on these races.
Oh yeah, I
Is that
love
right?
betting on racing. It's so much fun because you do match bets. You do a guy against a guy, and if you watch racing enough, who's going to have the advantage, over that certain person. But like a wheel can fall off. I took Byron because he would win more money by me taking him than if I took Larson. I wouldn't make as much money. So I'm holding my breath, going, "Come on, Byron!" And Byron's great. Byron's won 3 races this year, but he didn't have as good a qualifying. He practiced 13th, and Larson practiced first. I think he got first. He was fastest in practice. He started first, so it's really hard because when you have these tracks, you want to be starting first. You want to be getting all the fresh air. So that's what he needed to do. And so, but when his wheel fell off, I was like, I got this one, and then I got another one, and it's a lot of fun. And I also bet that Chevrolet was going to win this race because I saw the race before the junior guys. Chevrolet won then. So I was like, it's going to be a theme. So it's Chevy winning. You can do all kinds of crazy bets. It's a lot of fun, and you
All
have
right.
to like a little bit of sense about it, what you're doing, a little bit.
Okay. So next I want to present, I think Todd brought this to my attention, Todd. Sports. I can't believe you know anything about sports and you brought it to my attention. So do you want to talk about
No, I
this
don't. I can't see that. It says
baseball
baseball.
star
Okay.
Otani's ex-translator turns himself in after allegedly stealing.
$16 million. Yeah. Um, that story was strange because that was an awful lot of money. If it were $1 million, I can see it skating by him without notice, but 16 million. So people were thinking he was in on it as well, but he wasn't. It was found that he was not in on it. That
Oh,
translator was doing some heavy duty stealing. And
I
so
didn't know they concluded, Todd. They concluded everything and said Otani's off the hook.
I think I said that.
Right. I mean, that's definitive now. But I'm saying, is that definitive? You know that to be
If
for real, for
I
real.
said it, I'm not a
And it's
Trump
real.
supporter, but if I said it, that means it's a fact.
Okay. Thanks, Todd.
Don't mention it.
Yeah, thanks
So
for nothing, Todd.
Thanks for nothing, Todd.
but yeah, that was awful to steal that much money from. Oh my gosh.
How could he have access to that much money as an
Yeah, that doesn't even
interpreter?
sound right. It
Right.
doesn't
Does
even
a
sound
trans
right.
man have that much too?
How can, most translators, Todd, honestly, and that's a picture of Otani and his translator right there on the
Hmm.
screen. Most translators,
Yeah.
they just get paid. They get checks every 2 weeks or whatever the setup is. They
Hmm.
get checks. He is an employee. How does an employee have access to all that money? The whole thing just sounds funny to me, and it sounds like someone else got caught with their hand in a cookie jar, and he was the scapegoat. That's just what it sounds
Yeah,
like
and
to me.
baseball can't take the hit. Baseball needs him in baseball because he's the best player in the world. But of course, and other guys are like, they'll take care of him. They'll get it. They'll change his face or something. Give him a new name. He'll
Well,
live
yeah,
good.
yeah. This is what Trump supporters do. They take the facts and distort them and come up with their own conclusions. So, Stacy and what is your name again?
What do Biden supporters do? What do Biden supporters
Did you
do?
catch that on the end, dum dum?
You can't be a Biden supporter.
So
We'll
let
move
me move
on.
on. I don't know
Move
how we lost
on.
Keith. I guess we're losing Keith. I want to share this screen. Speaking of betting, everybody, I guess the money just gets people,
We weren't speaking on betting, Trump supporter.
before we were talking about Stephen betting on the NASCAR races.
Well, yeah,
And
that's because he's like a crooked person, and you would expect a Trump supporter to be a gambler.
How is it crooked to gamble?
Okay,
Gambling's not
I'll tell
crooked.
you. I'll tell you. When you are a professional boxer and you bet on fights, that means you're crooked.
No, I mean me.
I'm going into that hypothetical nonsense that you do.
No. How
Meaning,
am I crooked?
because you're a professional boxer and you
No, I don't.
box and you
I
bet
put
on
my
the
gloves.
fights.
I hung up my gloves. I hung up my gloves years ago, probably when you were still in a diaper.
son, as he would say, as
Son.
Stephen would say, son. Okay, so look, NBA Raptors John Tay Porter is banned from the NBA for gambling violations. He bet on his own sport. Sounds like a Pete Rose type of deal. The Toronto
Uh,
Raptors John Tay Porter has been banned from the league after an investigation revealed he had disclosed confidential information to bettors, limited his participation in at least one game while he was with the Raptors, and bet on NBA games while playing in the G League.
Yeah, he needed an interpreter. He needed an interpreter is what he needed.
So they said, John Tay Porter's blatant violations of our game rules are being met with the most severe punishment, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said while announcing the ban. The ban. So that's pretty horrible. Stephen, anything else to say about that before we move on?
Yeah, maybe they should give him a warning. It's not like baseball is the number one thing you can't bet on. You cannot bet when you're no, not bet on, but when you're playing baseball, that's like the number one rule. It's not that way in the NBA. People did it. I mean, Jordan was famous for doing it. You know, people do it all the time. Just give them a warning, take all that from them. Don't let them do it anymore, and let them play. You know, everybody can make a mistake, have a problem. And they do it again, just ban them for life because you've already warned them. But, you know, how long is he going to have to sit out? I mean, is they going to sit him out for the rest of the
I think
season
he's
or a
banned for
month?
life.
Yeah, that's what I
I think
mean.
he
They
is
ought to
banned
get
for
him.
life.
See, but they don't have the same thing that baseball has. Baseball's really strict, and they go back forever. NBA is not like that. They just, I guess, they just appropriating baseball in some kind of way like that. But they
Right.
should. I really do. They give him a little break and say, hey, just don't do it again. If you do it again, you out here for life, and that'd be enough for most people, I think.
Okay. Now let's move on. Last week during the show, we did not know, but we found out the next day that O.J. Simpson had died at the age of 76. So I'm just going to let you all say, starting with Cousin Todd, since he's not in the sports, talk about O.J. Simpson's.
Excuse me, you're not into sports. I am. OJ, yeah, he had cancer, and I thought, boy, I didn't know he had cancer, but that was a shocker for him to die. But I don't know what's going to happen with the Goldmans and the money situation.
Okay.
Because I
That's
don't
all
know
you
if
have to
he has.
say.
I don't know if he has property, but I was remembering when that incident occurred, and I remember Mark Furman and testifying against OJ, and I was remembering how much I was appalled by Mark Furman, who was a racist, and I thought then, when you put a racist cop on the stand, you're going to lose because you're going to lose the black people. They can't trust anything he says. And that's when I was secure that OJ would win that case. And he did. And it was strange how the reaction from blacks to whites, and I was glad that was captured, how the blacks cheered and the whites fainted. And they didn't know why. And I had to spend years explaining why. I think I even explained it on the show, how it wasn't so much about O.J. Simpson. It was about Black experience in America. And the setup was, if you have money, you get off. And Stephen agreed at that time. But they didn't know Black people would start making money like that. The rule was you're white and rich, so you get off. But then blacks lucked up on money, and they got off. But I don't think that was the reason he got off. I think he got off because black people did not like him at that time. They thought he had traded his black card in to borrow or steal somebody's white card, because he was surrounded by whites, married into white, and just his circle was white. And so blacks weren't like on his team. But like I said, when you have a racist cop testifying against you, they're not believed. So anyway, it was that whole saga, that period was very tumultuous. And I think right after that was the Rodney King situation.
No, that was before.
Was that?
Yeah.
Well, I can't
Yeah,
take your
that's why
word
everybody
for
had
it because you
such
say
bad
so
blood.
high.
That's why everybody had such bad blood by then, because
No,
Rodney King.
ma'am, don't speak for blacks. We've had bad blood ever since we were kidnapped. So it's hundreds of years of bad blood.
You're not using my proper preferred pronouns.
All right. Do you have anything to say about OJ, Stephen?
Yeah,
Oh,
the thing about it was, I was young. And when I was about, it goes back to when I was about 10 years old. And the Olympics blew me away. I like sports and everything, but I was just blown away by the pageantry and everything of the Olympics. And then you had Bruce Jenner.
You were
That
not
was
10 years
my
old.
hero.
You were
We
more
had
like
we had
20,
everything
30
set up
years old.
in the guy's backyard, running and doing jumping and doing everything that he would do because we loved
Because
him. We was
you
a
love
huge
Bruce
hero of ours.
Jenner. Uh-huh.
But you know what? Happened?
Mhm.
This happened, and then you get the Kardashians, and everybody wants to be more famous and popular, and everybody lost their minds, and Bruce Jenner lost his mind, and because of all this that happened with OJ, if none of this had ever happened, and if he had kept the knife in his pocket, or never took it out, or never decided he was going to kill people, then Bruce Jenner wouldn't have done this to me and changed his name to Caitlyn. That's what I lost. I lost a hero. You know, those kids lost their mom. Their parents lost their son. When I lost a hero, and nobody cares
Yeah,
about
but
me.
he's not going to marry you, Stephen. So you didn't lose
No,
anything. You've never had
no, but
him.
you know, look at all the fallout from all of that. Look at all the craziness that happened after all of this. Everything went nuts in this country. It did because everything is just it's so loud now, and everything's got to be in everybody's face. And it wasn't like that before the trial and all this. Now
What
all
is
the
in
trials and
everybody's face? What is in everybody's faces?
it was like everybody had to be a part of this. It was huge. Look at all the fallout. Look at the Kardashians. Look at everything that's come from this. It's like the
You keep
six
talking about the
ways of
Kardashians.
separation from
What
from
happened with
Kevin
the
Bacon.
Kardashians that you keep talking about?
Why you
No, I
keep
mean
interrupting?
right, these people
Because I
that are
want
just that were
clarity.
not these people that have no talent did nothing. All of a sudden, they just all of them blew up, and then people
Okay, I'm
around them
gonna
blew
move
up.
on.
He
Okay,
knows
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
understand it. I don't
You
understand
don't
you, Stephen, but thank you. Keith,
you don't understand that
you,
all the fallout from the OJ trial, everything that
No.
happened after that.
I don't
Bruce
know what
Jenner
that has to
became
do with the
Bruce Jenner became
Kardashians.
a woman because her dad, the Kardashian dad, was one of the lawyers.
Okay.
Is that
Okay,
why y'all don't
so let me get,
understand?
so
See,
let
I
me
lived
No.
it.
let me have Keith. I want Keith to talk about what they've been reporting in Los Angeles about O.J. Simpson since his death. Unfortunately, we didn't hear about it in time for during our last show to talk about it last week. Keith,
I'm having a hard time with my internet here. I don't know what's going on, but I hope you can hear me and I don't black out here. But yeah, OJ, I kind of feel that I don't know what to think about this case. Over the time, it
the case,
seems
we're
to
just
me
talking
that he
about his
was.
death.
Oh,
We're just talking about his
well,
death. Were you
he's
surprised?
gone. I mean, he's
No,
died.
he's 76.
How are they reporting it in Los Angeles?
He lived. Well, he lived a long time. I don't know what to say about his
No,
death other than
I
I
said,
hope
how
that he
are
was
they
born again.
reporting? No, I said, how are they reporting on it in Los Angeles? Are they covering it?
No, they're not talking about it much. They're too busy on the
Okay.
Trump, and this other thing. They're not talking about OJ much. But I will say that it's interesting how a black man. I wonder what Todd feels about it. A black man was exonerated in this justice system, and yet Trump, a white man, rich guy, is now being persecuted up the yin yang. I wonder how Todd
Let's
feels about that, about the
let's
justice
let's
system being
well
so-called unfair.
let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Trump trial in New York. Let's talk about Cousin Todd. Go ahead. Do you want to answer his questions as you see the picture of former President Trump during his trial in New York that started this week?
He said a black guy was exonerated. I don't know what he's talking about.
He's
He
talking
never
about
gives.
O.J.
OJ,
Simpson.
Oh, O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson got a fair trial, as we just went over, but you had a racist cop testifying against him who was not believable. And so he got off. Just like Stephen
okay.
said, all rich white men get off.
I never
He
said
said it's
that. I
a
said
different.
rich people got a better chance of getting off.
Well, who
Or they
is
used
rich
to.
in
Now
this
people,
country
now
besides white men?
poor people from other countries have a much better chance of getting off than I do. And you
Okay.
too.
All right. All right. Let's stick with what you first said before you flip flop like Donald Trump.
I didn't
You
flip up
said,
anything. I added
rich,
to my conversation.
oh, brother, rich people get
Todd,
off in this country, is what Stephen said.
Generally
That's,
saying, if you got enough money, you can buy lawyers,
and
right?
so this is why I was repeating what he said, how rich people get off. That's the
It doesn't seem
law.
like Trump
White
can
And
get
men
away
yeah,
with it.
unless
made
Looks
it's
the
a
like
law.
kangaroo
Trump's going to
court,
be. How do you
like they have
explain
up in New
Trump,
York.
Todd?
White
Right.
people made up
Rich
this.
guy.
White people made up the legal system. So that's what was
How
happening.
do you explain
Now,
Trump being persecuted by this legal system?
well, Trump only makes you think he's rich and dumb people like you. But for the rest of us, we know he's not a
Well, I've
billionaire.
been to New York. I see a building with his name on it. He's richer than you are.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, you've been to New York. What he does, let me just say this for the dumb people like Stephen.
Yeah,
He
Trump's
rents his
poor.
name. He rents his name out, dumb. Do you
That's his
understand
building.
that?
That's his building.
I'm going to say this
That's
again.
a Trump tower.
rents
He's
his-
not renting his name out. Come on, man.
That's what he does to make a living. He rents his name out. Now, if you want Stacy to Google that for you so that she can read it to you, she'll do that. But he rents his name out and people use it. And that's
Okay,
how he
good.
gets paid.
But
Oh,
did he
right.
rent his name out to be on the Trump Tower? Is he renting that out?
No, he owns
No,
that
that's what I'm
along with
saying.
somebody else.
Google that one, Stacy.
He owns
He
that
has-
along
he
with
has-
somebody else.
He is a rich man, and he's a good man because he's rich in his heart and soul as well. And there's a lot of rich people in this earth that will never know that.
Okay.
You can be really, really rich and a really bad person. I can't find a whole lot of bad in him.
No, I know you
He
can't.
he could say, I don't want none of this and go away. He doesn't. He's doing that because he's for the people.
He's for
As
you.
much as you hate him, he's
This
for the people.
This is wonderful that you're saying that, because you know who Howard Stern is?
He's also anti-war,
Do
and that's
you
what
know
we
who
want.
Howard Stern is?
I listened to Howard Stern for 30 years.
Oh, wonderful. Howard Stern said to you and all of his listeners, Trump hates you. That's what Howard Stern said. You must
Howard
have missed
Stern
that episode.
Howard Stern has
Howard
done
Stern said
blackface many
he
times.
hates
He
you.
has to appease you now, or you will
he's
cancel
gonna
him.
Talk over me.
Hey,
That
Howard
hate-
Stern has done blackface.
you
I'll
Okay,
send it to
over
All right,
Stacy.
Stephen, okay, let him finish. Todd, you go. You
Yay.
finish, Todd. You
Yeah,
can't
but
talk
that's
the whole
why.
show, Todd.
There's kissing. He's kissing your ass.
What?
Go ahead, Todd,
what
and then
your
Stephen's going to
friend,
respond.
who you've listened to for 30 years, said was Donald Trump hates you. If
I
you're
don't
a
care.
poor person or a working person, he's not interested in you. This is what your friend Howard Stern said, who you've listened
Because that's
to
what
for 30
Howard
years.
Stern said.
Shut up.
Is he your
And so-
Jesus?
So now you're saying, "Ooh, I hate him now." No, he's just telling you the truth. Donald
don't
Trump
hate Howard
doesn't
Stern.
want to be bothered with bums or poor people or what he
That's
never.
not true.
Listen to me carefully. He never
Let
hung
him
around
finish,
people like
please.
you. He never allowed people
Yes, he
like
did.
you to stop.
He does.
He never hung around people like you. He doesn't want you in a circle. He is, listen to me carefully, a germaphobe. So he never liked people. He's not a people person. He said this himself. He doesn't like to shake hands and all. And especially if you're poor, stop it. So
Todd, you're just
Okay.
making stuff up, man.
So let
You must
You're
have
just
been
making it up.
during COVID.
let Stephen. Okay, go ahead, Stephen. You respond
I'm not
quickly.
making that
You
up.
see Trump going into these shops, like he says, I'm buy everybody a milkshake, and it's all a lot of black people working there. They all hug him. They say, "Don't worry about what people like Todd say, Trump. We love you." They won't show you that on The View, Todd. You got to watch something else besides The View. You
Like
got to
Fox
expand your
News?
mind and start thinking for yourself.
Should
But
I watch
everybody
Fox
loves
News?
Trump. When he's in New York, when he comes out, they say Trump, 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 Trump. When's the last time anybody
In
ever
New
said
York?
Biden, Biden,
Wait,
Biden,
you
Biden?
just said
Nobody
New
cheers
York.
for Joe
You
Biden,
just said
but
in New
everybody
York.
cheers for
Okay.
Trump.
And
All right.
And
Thank
you
you.
said, you know
said
what,
New
Donald
York
Trump
hates
has been
him.
in the building industry his whole life, and he's dealt with people like me. He's dealt with people that work. He knows how to
Yeah.
deal with people. That's
He
why he
suckered
talks
you
the
out
way
of
he
your
does.
money.
That's why
doesn't
he
pay
acts
his
the way he
bills.
does.
He
It
didn't.
doesn't matter
He
if he's
got you
rich.
to
There's
build the
plenty of
building
people
and
just
didn't-
like me that are just as rich as him. We can be rich. It's just, but it's not in this elite class. Say we got to go to Harvard. We got to be like you, or not you that went to Harvard.
Oh, it's
Probably you
such
don't
a
even know where
shame.
Harvard is.
No,
But what I'm
I
saying,
wouldn't
he's
know
a
Harvard, but
guy
you
of the
would.
people.
You
He's the
would.
guy of
I
the
can look
people.
at you
Your
and tell
man ain't.
that.
He's the guy. He's anti-war. We're anti-war. What else do you want? Look at all the wars that happened.
Okay,
Donald
thank
Trump
you.
said,
Thank
"We'll
you. I
get
gotta
you out
move
of
on.
these wars."
Stephen, I got to move on. Thank you. You said
Thank
your
you,
response.
Stacey.
Now, I want to talk about former President Trump's
Did you send
trial
Trump any
this
money,
week in New York
Stephen?
City.
Did you send him any
Todd,
money to stop the steal?
I'm gonna buy one of those
you
Bibles.
already
I'm gonna
asked
buy
him
one of
that.
those Bibles, and I'll send it to you.
You're gonna buy one. Are you gonna buy the
And you're gonna
sneakers
need it.
too?
You're gonna need
Are
it.
you gonna buy his sneakers too?
No, I don't like them, but I like his Bible because it has the.
Well,
What else does it have in it, Keith?
send him some money, Stephen, because you got to help him
Okay,
stop the steal.
Cousin Todd, go
Yes.
ahead and talk about the trial in New York City and them accusing former President Trump of falling asleep during the trial.
Oh, he was tired because he was tired of saving the world. Him alone can do it. See? And so he was sleepy. He was tired of saving. He had to stop the steal. He had to save America. He had to get them illegals out of here. He chased them out on foot. So he was very busy. And that's why he was tired in court. And he wanted to take a little nap.
Yeah, Biden falls asleep when he's giving a speech
Oh, we're talking about Donald
because
Trump
Donald
on
Trump works
trial.
24/7. He really does. He gets about 4 hours of sleep a night, and
He
he's in
works.
some kind
Okay,
of
thank
boring
you.
thing. Hey, I would shut my eyes too.
All right. So, do you all want to talk about the substance of the trial and
Okay,
the
I will. I will. He was accused of using campaign funds to pay a porn star. Now, I want to know how the religious right goes along and thinks this guy is some great Christian. He's the Messiah. He's the second
I'm
coming.
having some internet trouble here.
I
can't
bet
We
you
never
are.
said he's the Messiah.
So,
Nobody worships Donald Trump.
Let me finish what I'm saying, a Trump supporter. There's the religious right who thinks this boy is the Messiah, the second coming, the good Christian values guy who cheated on his wives with an S, every one of them. And as a matter of fact, he cheated on his wife when she was pregnant, and when she gave birth, she was breastfeeding while he was cheating on her. Huh? But he's a religious right guy. He's the Messiah. And so he cheats on all of his wives, left and right, pays porn stars to have sex with him, steals, he's fraudulent, he cheats on his taxes. This is the great Messiah.
No, he doesn't.
And so, of course he doesn't, dum-dum. So
He'd be in jail.
He's no, he's in court now.
Not for taxes.
Tax evasion. Oh yeah, you cannot pretend your property is worth
Yes, you can.
20 times more than what it is.
People do it every day, and that's his opinion. That was his opinion.
Hey, stop it! Stop.
It's a judge's
not
opinion.
An opinion. There is a factual. How big is your house? How big is your apartment? You can't just. Man, my opinion is it's 6 million feet wide. That's my opinion. You sound crazy. You sound like a typical Trump supporter. No facts. Oh.
All you have is talking points from The View. And you think you're smart. Talking points from The View.
I'm smart.
You sound just like Whoopi. Y'all, they want to put us back into slavery, y'all. They want to put us back into slavery.
You don't know Whoopi Gold because Whoopi is white. No joke. Whoopi thinks very white. And so, anyway, I'm nothing like Whoopi. Maybe Joy Behar. Nevertheless.
No, you more Whoopi, man.
Of course you say that because I'm black.
No, just the way you talk, talk and you say stuff, you think you know what you're talking about.
Nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear this. I wanted you all to talk about the substance of the trial.
I was trying to talk about the substance, but
he's not. He's saying everything that Trump did since 2006. He's not talking about the trial at all.
This is what he's on trial for.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
That's what I was trying to do, but the Trump supporter has learned from the Tea Partiers how to block you. So he was paying a porn star to have sex with him.
No, he wasn't.
That is illegal to pay that porn star. See how you keep? No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Stop doing it and just stick to the facts.
Okay. He paid her to keep her mouth shut.
For the facts?
He didn't pay her for sex. He paid her to keep
So-
her mouth shut.
How would you know? Did he pay
Because that's
you?
Why
what
would he
this
pay
is
her
what
to
this
keep
is
her mouth
about.
shut?
So anyway, let me move on. This
Because it happens every
he
day.
paid her to have sex with her.
He didn't.
She took the money, $100 and something thousand, I think, and so he got his lawyer to pay her. And this is what a fraudster he is. He's so rich. Why didn't he just take his own money and quietly pay this girl and move on? No, he's such a criminal. He used campaign funds to pay her. What? You pay her lawyer with your money, and then I'll reimburse you with campaign funds. You talking about a criminal?
That's not what it's about.
Anyway,
Okay.
so that's what
That's
he
not what it's
did.
about
And
at all. It was a case that was dropped a long time ago. Alan Bragg brought it back. He's trying to make a state case into a federal case. Everything he's doing is wrong. This will be won on appeal. This is all to stop Donald Trump from getting
you
out
just
and being able
said
to
he
run
paid
for
her to be
president.
quiet.
This is to
You
make
just
Donald
said
Trump
that.
look bad.
You just
This
said
is
he paid
this
her
is
to
only
be quiet
this is
about having
all
sex.
BS. All of this has been
And
coordinated
he
with
won't
Joe Biden in
talk
the White
facts.
House.
He'll
The White
just
House
go
has
Okay, where are you
coordinated
getting this
all of
from?
these court
Okay, I
cases.
got to move on because I don't know where you're getting this from. I want to
Right.
talk
No, where I'm
about
getting it from is the truth. The White House has
where are
every
you
judge
getting it
that's going
from?
or every DA from the news. It's out there. It's public.
What
You have
news?
to do
What
something besides
news?
watch The
What
View. This
news?
is all
What
public
news? What news?
information.
What news?
I'm
What
not
news?
pulling it
What
out of
news?
my
What news?
ass.
What news?
This is
What news?
public
What news?
information.
What
We
news?
all know
What news?
this. Where do y'all go to? What do? Read the New York Times?
Okay,
If you
okay,
only hear
please.
He's
stuff that
never
tells
going
you,
to tell.
if you only have information that tells you one way, you don't know what's really going on. I watch y'all's garbage. I watch my garbage. I watch all the garbage to find the truth. You're just getting one bit of the information.
What
Everything I've said that
news?
is true. All of these cases are
Okay,
bogus, and all of
okay,
these
thank
people have
you.
been to the White
Thank
House
you. You
many
have to
times
stop.
to
You have
conspire
to stop, Stephen. You have to
unconstitutionally
stop.
against Trump. This is where
Okay, thank you.
I'll send it all to you,
We have
Stacey,
to
and you
move
can send
on.
it to your cousin. It's all facts. It's all
Thank you.
BS,
He
Todd.
never
Don't get
said what
excited.
news
This is
agency he
this
got
is
it
all
from,
to hurt
and he
Okay,
Trump.
never
thank you.
will.
This is
I
what
want to
they do.
talk about Speaker of the
Election
House.
interference. That's what
I
it
want to
is.
talk about Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and his plan. Cousin Todd, if you want to talk about it, his
Okay.
plan to move forward with his with Ukraine funding and funding for Israel and
And
Hamas and places like that.
okay.
As I pull the screen up, Cousin Todd.
Okay. Before I say that, I just want to say Stephen flip-flopped. He just said he paid her to be quiet. Did you hear that? This is a
No,
Trump
I
supporter.
kind of misspoke a little bit. But what it comes down to is she signed a form that she
You-
said, I never
kinda
had sex with
misspoke
Donald
there.
Trump.
I
She
kinda
said, I never
misspoke
had sex
there.
with Donald
You're
Trump.
crazy. You're crazy.
So
You're
what he
crazy.
did
Stop
was she
talking.
was going to
I'm
come
moving
out. She
on.
was blackmailing him and said she's going to come out and say they did have sex. So he got his lawyer to pay her to keep her mouth shut because he's running for president. And Todd, anybody can accuse you. He's never been proven of rape or sex or anything that everybody's accused him of.
Okay,
He's
thank
never
you.
been
I
convicted
have
of
to move on.
anything, and they treat him like a criminal.
See, he took up
Okay.
all of my time. You asked me a question and he jumped in and said, I
That's
misspoke.
because you said something you should not have
I just
got him
repeated what he
started. That was
said.
your fault.
He said he paid her to be quiet.
You know what I'm saying? You
That
know what
was
I'm
your
saying?
fault.
That doesn't mean he had sex with her. He doesn't want her to talk because he's a very famous
Okay,
person
all
that's
right.
got a
You
lot of
already
money.
said
He
that.
is
You already
rich.
said that.
And
All
this
right.
is what people do all the time, Todd. I hate to burst your bubble, but people pay people money even when they did nothing wrong. They pay people to shut the hell up. Businesses do it all the time,
Shut up.
Todd. No, I'm going to
Okay.
tell the truth, and you can't stop me, no matter how twisted and contorted your face gets.
Okay. I'm going to have to stop you so we can move on.
Thank
Look
you.
at this screen. Inside, what's inside the 95
What
billion
about the
house
Playboy
package?
bunny he also had sex with?
Todd,
Todd.
stop. What's inside the $95 billion house package focused on aiding Ukraine and Israel? Speaker Mike Johnson has unveiled a long-awaited package of bills that will provide military aid to Ukraine and Israel and replenish U.S. weapons systems and give humanitarian assistance to civilians in Gaza. He is trying to be stopped by Marjorie Taylor Greene and one other newly minted House representative, but he's moving on with the package. Stephen, why is the Speaker of the House doing that?
Because he changed after they made him the Speaker of the House. He was a different person, and now he's just another one of the swamp creatures, and that's what we have. I mean, they thought in good, this is a good man. He spoke well. He seemed to be on the same page as everybody. He's tired of the swamp. Let's do this. Let's do power to the people. Let's do what the people want. And what the people want is the border. They want the border secured. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and the rest of everybody that has a common sense and a brain says, no, we can give money to other countries and do this. First of all, we got to secure our border. We're getting invaded right now. We need to do something to secure our border. That's the deal. That's what they want. But this guy, the new Speaker of the House, is no better than the one they replaced because he's not doing what the people want. The people want the border secure.
Didn't want him to sign this deal?
What?
Why didn't he sign the deal? Because you said they wanted to secure the border first.
No,
Is that what
he
said?
did. No, he's pushed it through. Marjorie Taylor Greene and all the people on that side said they don't want to support this because they want to make sure the border is shut down first. That's what they want. They and we don't want to get. Why do we give any money to Ukraine? Because 1 million people have died. The only reason United States is using Ukraine to try to get rid of Russia. That's what we're doing.
Slow down.
And we don't care about the millions of people.
So wait. Let me ask you this. If you think, which I don't believe is true, you said United States is using Ukraine to get rid of Russia. Russia was our Cold War enemy and a communist country. It's not a democratic country. Why
I just said
are
they were.
you, Stephen, why are you concerned about whether or not the United States gets rid of Russia?
Because that's not our goal. That's not what we were supposed to do. But that's what we've planned. Our CIA's been in Ukraine for 10 years. This has been coming up. We're the one who put the puppet president in the Ukraine right now. We put that puppet in there
all over the world.
Right. But they're the ones who designed this. We're the ones who started the war. We wanted this war to happen, but the Ukraine people are the ones suffering. It's about 1 million of them so far, and they cannot win this war. They cannot beat Putin, because
Putin invaded Ukraine. So stop.
I know,
Americans.
but they didn't need to.
You sound crazy.
If you look at it on both sides, there's both sides, because Ukraine is a terrible country and with a terrible dictator leader, just like Putin. They're not good people. We shouldn't support Ukraine.
Shut up after a while.
He is a dictator. He is a dictator, just like Putin.
Okay, Stephen, you have to stop and let Cousin Todd say his part. Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
Now, of course, the Trump supporter doesn't know they flip-flop and say two different things. What he just said was America sent them to war, Ukraine. America did not.
Joe Biden gave the go-ahead in public.
Russia.
He said they can invade as long as they don't invade too deep. He said they can. Joe Biden gave him the go-ahead in public. We started the war.
He didn't talk while you talked.
He talked every time I said a word.
No, you wouldn't stop talking.
Go.
And you talk
Go.
And say 2 and 3 different things at once.
Talk.
Okay, the first question I asked you was, why don't they want to support Ukraine? You said because Marjorie Taylor Greene and them, they wanted to shut the border down. Those are your words.
First, we want to shut the border down first, yeah.
Because we're being invaded and we got to get our border secure first. And now, I know you don't know what you're saying because it would take decades.
Get to the point.
For the border.
Get to the point.
You can't.
I'm not saying they have to secure the border. They have to make an effort towards securing the border. They're not going to close it in a day. Come on, man.
Thank you. So
no, I know that, but they're doing nothing to stop this invasion.
Slow down.
I'm answering you. They're doing nothing to stop the invasion.
Wait. So if we were to secure the border, that would take years.
Yeah,
so we should not wait. So we should.
I'm agreeing.
I'm going to
Stephen,
move
just
on. He's
He's
crazy.
thank
he's
you.
making a
Go
silly
ahead, Todd.
point.
Just move
Let
on.
me say this. He's making a silly
No,
point because Ukraine and Israel is different than our own border. We have to make
You've
effort right
already
now to
said
secure the
that.
border.
You
We're
said that
doing nothing.
over and over
Our government
again.
is not only not securing
You
the
said
border,
that
they're making
already.
it worse on purpose. The government that you support right now, the state that's running our country, is bringing people here on purpose. They're
Okay.
doing it on
All
purpose
right.
to hurt
Thank you.
us.
Okay.
And
Now,
what we're
you've said,
saying is it has to
you
stop.
won't shut up. You've
I was
said that
making a point, and
40
you're jumping on
times.
me.
You said the same thing 40 times. It's almost like you're
all
crazy.
right. I'm
But this is
bored.
what
Keep
We're
you
out
saying
of
the same
time.
thing.
explained. You
I'm
explained for
bored.
half
We're
an
out of
hour.
time. I'm moving on. Todd, I'm going to share the screen and make a comment about the
Oh,
$95 billion
I don't
House
know if
package,
he's
which,
dumb or he's pretending to be dumb because he
Everything
repeats
I said is the
himself
truth. The only dumb
12
one
and
here is you,
13
Todd.
times.
The only dumb,
Todd.
Todd, you can't learn from Whoopi.
So if you look at the screen, it says the aid to support Ukraine totals about 61 billion. Republicans on the House Appropriations Committee said that more than a third of that would be dedicated to replenishing weapons and ammunition systems for the U.S. military. The overall amount of money provided to Ukraine for the purchase of weapons from the U.S. is roughly the same in the House and Senate bills at $13.8 billion. The main difference between the two packages is that the House bill provides more than $9 billion in economic assistance to Ukraine in the form of forgivable loans, and the Senate bill included no such provision seeking repayment. So the Senate says you don't have to repay the money. The House says you have to repay the money. Cousin Todd?
Are you sleepy?
Oh, you trying to say I'm like Trump? No, I'm not. Thank you.
Well, they will certainly have no way of repaying that money. So that's just silly. And a typical Republican talking point to make people like Keith and Stephen say, yeah, we don't have that money. They got to pay us back. It's almost like when Donald Trump said, we're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. And of course, Mexico was not going to pay for it. And Mexico said, we're not paying for it. And Trump said, shh, don't say it. You don't have to pay for it, but don't say it publicly. Con artist. And so Mexico didn't pay for the wall. That was America that paid for the wall. And Trump knew America was going to pay for the wall. But anyway, this is the cons he pulls on people like Keith and Stephen who don't know a con when they're hearing one. And so this is why he can say, I didn't have sex with that woman. But he grabs women by the genitals because they let you do it if you're famous.
You wish you would grab yours, don't you, Todd?
And he, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. So
That's why you're jealous. Because he won't grab yours.
Say no to drugs, Stephen. Say no.
Well, Mexico did pay for the border.
Okay.
Mexico
Okay,
did pay for the wall, and
Okay.
So we're
he
out
put
of
tariffs
time.
on them. He put tariffs on them.
Excuse me, we're
Mexico
out of
paid for
time.
the
We're going to
wall,
start
he
our
said.
round
Some
table.
of it, yeah.
On
He
our
said
round table.
Mexico paid for the wall.
With
I just
tariffs.
want you to hear that,
With
Stacey.
tariffs.
This is the
You know what
Trump supporter. They're
tariffs
all
are taxes.
confused. And so
Tariffs.
anyway, the point I was going to make about the House and the Senate with the Speaker is that you have these extremists. Of course, Stephen doesn't know. He's just all mixed up. All they want to do is absolutely nothing that would give Joe Biden a win. This is why when they were going to secure the border, it was a Republican plan that Democrats did not want, but Democrats got on board with it. The president got on board with it. And this plan was a bit extreme, where they would shut the border down temporarily, and they would only allow, I forget how many in a day, and no more. That was a Republican idea because it was a bit extreme for Democrats. Joe Biden said, it's fine. Donald Trump said, don't sign on to it. Don't do it. And the Republicans did not, because he didn't want Joe Biden to get that win. It's about
True.
wins and losses.
Not true.
And Stacey, you can Google that for him if you'd
It's not
like
true.
to. And so, and then when you Google, he'll say, "There's not facts ain't true. No,
It's not
that's
true.
just the wrong facts." So
Okay, thank
anyway,
you.
wait, the
Thank you.
last thing
We're
I
going to do
wanted
our
to
round
say,
table. We're going to start with Stephen, then Cousin Todd, because we lost Keith, and then Aguna's unable to join us. So we'll start with Stephen and then Cousin Todd with our round table. I want to talk about specifically the impeachment
but
trial the U.S.
okay.
Senate did today for Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. And then anything else you may want to add on the Senate rejects impeachment articles against Mayorkas. So let's start with Stephen and then Keith. I mean, Todd, sorry, you look alike.
You must be high. I look like Keith.
little bit.
Never. Get out of my face. That's like saying Steven looks like a Guna.
Shave my head and
All
trim
right.
my goatee.
All right, go
Well,
ahead.
Well, Donald
Steven.
Trump, for whatever, Donald Trump didn't want them to sign what Todd was talking about real quick, and because it was other things that didn't make any sense. And all Biden has to do is reinstate what he took away, what
Like what?
Trump had working. Trump had remain in Mexico was one of the things he had working that Biden took away. Biden, if he did remain in Mexico, that
Wait,
like
I
Trump
don't know
did, we
what
wouldn't
he's
have the
saying.
problem we
He's
have right
talking
now.
too
All
fast.
Trump has to do is use his, all Biden has to do is use his pen and do what Trump did. And you do the same thing Trump did, and we wouldn't have
Use his
millions of people
pen.
in this country right now. But your side, Joe Biden, and the people that run Joe Biden want these people in here because Joe Biden doesn't need Republicans to do a damn thing. All he needs
Okay,
to do
excuse
is
me,
sign some executive orders.
Stephen,
All right, now what's the,
Stephen.
no, I'm gonna tell you, when the truth comes out, the truth is for real. Donald Trump ain't worried about beating Biden because Biden is not an opponent. Biden is not an opponent for Trump.
Stephen,
Yeah.
I asked you to talk about what's on the screen. The Senate rejects impeachment articles against Mayorkas, ending a trial against the cabinet secretary. Why did the Senate do that?
Because they're on the same team. That's why they're on the same team. They don't care what is happening to our country because these people are on the take. There's a lot of that. Almost all Democrats, a lot of Republicans. That's why we're fighting against Republicans and Democrats. That's why we're going to win. That's why we're going to beat them because everybody can see it's all in your face. Everybody can see all the corruption.
Okay,
Mayorkas should be kicked out for what's happening on the border. He should be kicked out.
The Senate declared today that unconstitutional, 2 articles of impeachment against Mayorkas were unconstitutional. One was the willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law. That was unconstitutional, so they couldn't impeach him. And another was for breach of public trust. They felt like the Senate felt like they couldn't impeach him over that.
They had the votes. That's all it was. It's not because he did nothing wrong. It's because they had the votes. Of course he did wrong. Look at our country. Look what has never been like this. We've never had this problem before. We're in a lot of trouble. Everybody can be as smug as they think they want to be, but we're in a lot of trouble because there's a lot of people here, a lot of killers, a lot of assassins, a lot of people that are just the craziest people in the world. Yes, they are. Mitch, we have 50,000, at least 50,000 Chinese men of military age. They're not here to vote. And China knows they're here. China sent them. China wants them to be here because they're going to be the ones who are going to look for people. This is our country we're talking about. Your side that you support is going to be the end of the United States if we don't stop it now.
Okay,
you're insane. I'm not the one crazy. You are.
And let me add this. Hormel, the pork company, settles a pork price fixing suit of $11 million. They will pay more than $11 million to settle a class action lawsuit alleging, let me share my screen. Alleging the company worked with other pork producers to illegally fix prices and overcharge customers. The proposed settlements filed in federal court in Minneapolis last week will see the Austin, Minnesota-based food company end the litigation without admitting fault. Hormel will pay $2.4 million to institutional customers like restaurants and delis, and $4.8 million to wholesalers and other direct purchasers, and $4.4 million to consumers if a judge approves the agreement. What is that about when you have companies come together like that, pork companies come together like that, and decide that they're going to do what this lawsuit alleges they did, which is they worked with other pork producers to fix prices and overcharge customers? Do you want to comment on that, Stephen? And then Todd, you can get it and you'll do the rest of it and we're out.
Did they admit guilt, or did you say they didn't admit guilt? They're just paying these people off, right?
This is according to court records. They're
Mhm.
not saying they
This is how
had a
crazy
settlement.
this boy is.
No, I want to make sure I heard correctly.
It says
You
it says
don't.
if
You
you
want
look
to
at the
give them an
screen,
out. They cheated
excuse me, if you look
people.
at the
Okay,
screen,
wait a minute.
it says the proposed settlements filed in federal court in Minneapolis last week will see the Austin, Minnesota-based food company end the litigation without admitting fault.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. This is what goes with the Donald Trump case. And it's funny that it has to do with pork or pigs or whatever. It's a pig. He's dealing with a pig that's lying, that admitted she was lying before the case was
What is
closed.
he
Now
talking
you have a
about?
stupid. Now you
I
have
don't know
Bragg is
what
trying
he's
to make a
talking
federal
about.
case
Do
out
you
of
know
it
what he's talking
because
about,
it's
Stacey?
political. No,
Do
so
you
that's
know
what
what
happens.
he's
This is what
talking
I said
about?
earlier. Stacey, I said earlier, companies settle. Instead of going to all the litigation, instead of paying all these lawyers, it's cheaper for them to settle. It was cheaper for Donald Trump to settle with that woman. Todd, he didn't pay her to have sex with him. Donald Trump ain't got to pay somebody to have sex with him like you did.
He does.
He doesn't have to pay for
He's
anybody to have
1,000 years
sex.
old.
He
You dumb
does
black
not.
loogie.
Trump does not have to pay for
He
sex.
doesn't have to
That's
pay
one of
you,
that's
and
one of the perks.
he doesn't have
That's
to
one of
pay
the perks of
you,
being him.
but he has to pay
Okay,
No,
real
but
thank you.
you said, wait a minute,
Thank you.
Stacey, religious people got to be upset with him for what he did. A lot of people have done stuff in the past. Look what Keith did in the past. Look what Keith paid for. Keith is a man who humbles himself and asks God for forgiveness, and he'll never do it again. And that's the same thing I believe Donald Trump did. I believe he's a changed
Donald
person
Trump
from the way
does.
he used to be.
Okay,
And they're
wait,
bringing up old crap because you have nothing on him and you can't beat him fairly. You got to keep him in court. You got to keep him off the ballots. You got to keep lying about him because you can't beat him on policy because we kick you
Thank you.
upside down.
Thank you, Cousin Todd.
Thank you. Give it
Okay.
to us, Todd.
He's so crazy. He never makes sense. He just babbles on with all these theories. And he was forgiven because you know what? He said he's forgiven, and he said, I repent. He's cheated on every wife he's ever had. I said he cheated on his wife when she was the latest wife, when she was pregnant. Then when she had a baby. Huh? Well, he repented again, but he cheated on Marla Maple. Well, he cheated again. He repented again. Stephen,
Todd, you can't
crazy.
we're out of time. You're going to spend the whole thing on that? Really?
Yeah. On the different ones he cheated on. He was married, and his wife
It
said,
doesn't matter. I'm talking about Hormel pork, and we're talking about
No,
the
you're
bill.
not, because Stephen did not answer anything about Hormel pork.
I
Stephen was
did.
talking about marrying Donald Trump and wanting to have sex with him and not making him pay for
I
it.
said the company settled
out of
the way
time.
Donald
Thank
Trump
you.
settled.
Todd, are you going to finish your point or what?
Okay. I'll finish the point, but I just want to say, Stephen, Donald Trump is not going to have sex with you ever.
I hope not. I don't
And-
think I'm his type.
Well, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure from everything I've seen.
So now, yeah, they were gouging people, and so they were found out. And the legal system in America that was made up by whites, for whites, by whites, says, okay, guys, I'll tell you what. You know what, guys? You don't have to.
Hey, doesn't
You don't have to
China
admit. You don't have to admit anything. Just pay them off, and we'll call it even, right, guys? And so that's what they did. Unlike Donald Trump, who was found responsible, and that's why he had to pay that woman.
No,
And
he did not. Responsible for what?
Raping
He did
her.
not. He was not found guilty of rape. He didn't rape the woman. There's no proof.
Todd's talking about the other case. He's
Oh,
conflated and mixed everything together.
the
We're
civil.
not
He's talking
talking
about
about Stormy
that civil
Daniels.
case.
And
Right. He's
Stormy
gone to the
Daniels.
civil case. I get it, but he wasn't ever. He didn't. He wasn't criminally.
Steven, you gotta let Todd finish. I'm out of
But he
time. You
wasn't
gotta let
criminally
Todd finish.
charged for rape.
Steven, you gotta let Todd finish.
So anyway, Stephen is amazing because he says he wasn't criminally charged. Neither was O.J. Simpson.
Yes, he was. He
Yes,
was
he
criminally
was.
charged.
He was criminally charged.
He wasn't convicted.
You're
He was
crazy.
charged. He wasn't convicted. Go ahead,
So
Todd.
anyway,
Finish. We gotta go. Thank you. I'm out of time.
Okay. They were overcharging people. Unlike Donald Trump, whose first wife said he raped her. And then, of course, Stephen said, you can't rape your wife. Remember that, Stephen? And we said, you can rape your wife.
No, I don't remember that.
Well, it's on tape, and I can send it. Matter of fact, we'll play it next week. Are we on next week?
Yes, we're on next week.
I'll play it next week. I'll be happy to. And so, first wife said he raped her. And of course, he cheated all over her and then got married to another girl. And then he cheated all over her. Then got married to another girl. And then
nobody cares.
This is
Todd.
the
Is this all you have? This is all you have. Is alleged rape.
And he cheated on his taxes.
He just Todd.
Steven, you gotta let him finish.
And he inflated the prices of his homes, which is why they gave him such a high number to pay, which was almost $500 million. And then they took it down because of the years he was doing this. And when you do this, your taxes doesn't reflect that you pretended your property was worth 20 times more than it was. And then tax time, you put it all the way back down. So that's against the law. And people go to jail for that. Martha Stewart, she cheated on her taxes. She went to jail for that. Wesley Snipes cheated on his taxes. This is what happens in America. Nobody is above the law. What is that woman that said, I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name right now. But when you do these things and cheat on your taxes, you go to jail, whether you're the president or not. And so this case with the porn star is on trial now, and they're picking the jury. And what he should have done was just paid her with his own money, and none of this would have happened. But he's such a criminal, he doesn't want to pay a dime out of his pocket, so he took campaign funds and paid. That's where he went wrong. Even if he had cheated on his taxes and inflated the property value of one home, fine. He did this to his Mar-a-Lago. He said it was worth 20 times what it's really worth. 20 times. He did this to his property in Manhattan. And he's done this for decades. So that's why he's in trouble. And he's not the Messiah. He's not a saint. He's a common criminal. He's a con artist. And, there was a clip that I wanted to play that sums up people like Stephen and Keith. And it's the way Trump has these people thinking now. Like, they're evil. Stephen says all that. And there was a clip I wanted to play for educational purposes. Okay, I want you to hear this.
You put your sound, we can't hear it.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear?
You were on mute. You were on mute. We couldn't hear anything.
All right. This is what I wanted to play for you. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. This is what I wanted to play for you. Listen.
Anything else that kills a civilization, said Clark.
We can't hear it.
You can't.
No. It
Oh,
sounds like zoot, 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 zoot. We
okay.
can't hear any legible sounds.
Okay. All right, then I'll just say it. It makes Donald Trump, the worst thing he's done, he made people like Stephen think, oh, the world is coming to an end. We're being invaded. Oh, these people are evil. And on, all this negativity. And these people are un-American because America is made up of foreigners. And people like Stephen were the first invaders. They're the ones that came in and invaded America.
Okay, thank you. You have to sum it up. You
Legally,
have to sum it up.
legal.
No, you see, this is how dumb you are. Those people came on ships illegally to the new land and start killing the natives.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, that's
Okay, thank you.
Maybe my people came around like 1950. How do you know?
Okay, thank you. Now we have
much longer than that.
a guest, Pastor Joe. Welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. We're on our way off. So can you give us your comment?
Comment about what? The trial? I mean, he said everything that needed to be said about the trial. Nothing really to add there.
Okay, we talked about Hormel settled the pork price. We talked about the
now wait,
Secretary
slow
of Homeland
down,
Security.
Stacy, one at a time. So Hormel, you can talk about that one because Stephen thinks they not guilty. They just gonna pay them just to get.
I didn't say they weren't guilty. I didn't say they weren't guilty. I don't know if they're guilty or not. I'm saying companies settle and say we're not at fault, but we're going to settle. This happens all the time. This is what companies do. Sorry, you don't know that.
This is what Hormel did. So go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, that's what Hormel did. I'm not saying they're not guilty of anything. And who eats pork anymore? Seriously.
And who eats
clearly
pork?
a lot of people.
Of course they do.
Hormel is still in the game. Clearly,
I know, it's just horrible.
But no, this is the problem when you have lax regulations. When Trump came in, he said he's going to get rid of regulations. We saw that happen. Standards started to decline a little bit and got a lot of people sick. Yeah, these incidents happen, Stephen. You can look these things up. Chicken processing plants, pork processing plants, all of them had these same troubles. But if the regulation arm or a class action lawsuit can only put a small dent in their pockets, then they're going to continue to do what they're doing right now, which is maximize profits, even at the risk of your health.
Yeah, if you're eating pork, it's your health is done anyways. You know, it's a
going
risky
to
thing
the
to
next
do.
one. Nobody cares, Stephen. Going to the next one.
Mayorkas, the unconstitutional articles of impeachment that the Senate found for Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas.
More nonsense. This is similar to, we're going to impeach Biden because he took that money. Okay, do you guys have any proof? Well, no. Well, do you have the record? Yeah, we have the records. And
the laptop. The laptop.
Those records are incorrect. Your whistleblower turned out to be a con man, Russian paid con man. So, yeah, this is more of the same.
No, that's not true.
Political theater.
And one thing we did not cover that I meant to cover, Iran, Israel. Iran wanted to retaliate against Israel, sent missiles over, which were blown up in the sky. Now Israel is supposed to retaliate against Iran. How does that continue to put the United States in a possible war?
It would only be a war if we chose to go to war. But ultimately, this was a thing of beauty from Iran. They knew they weren't going to hit any targets. They knew they weren't going to really cause any damage. But when you're talking about war on this scale, what are you trying to do? You want to know what your enemy wants to do and what your enemy is prepared for. So when Iran sends these missiles, they get to see, okay, how fast does the U.S. actually respond and support them? And then the other part is they get to see how the Iron Dome works, where the installations are weak, where they're strong. And now Israel and, of course, America, they're going to have to do their whole process again. Like when you get into game theory and war and you start talking about what could happen and what would happen, they always have to prepare for all of those things. There's contingency plans upon contingency plans. So this situation with Iran, Iran now has to move all of their stuff that they shot off because the sites that they used are now done because now everybody knows where they are. And now Israel has to change all of their defensive alignments because now Iran knows where the strong parts are and where the weak parts are. So it's a complicated thing, but ultimately Iran got to fire back without setting off a World War III, and eventually we're going to come to some consensus on this. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, man. They bombed your embassy, you retaliated.
He retaliated, and that's what people leave off. They retaliated.
So let me, I
They
just saw this.
randomly.
This just came across. Anyone can answer this if you look at the screen. The Supreme Court today, this is CNN.com, written by John Fritz, published 11:56 a.m. Today, the Supreme Court on Wednesday made it easier for people to sue employers for discrimination when they are transferred against their will. The unanimous decision, unanimous, in the Supreme Court, written by Justice Elena Kagan, sided with St. Louis police sergeant who claims her department discriminated against her when it forced her to transfer out of an intelligence division, but did not dock her pay. At issue in the case was whether Jatona Claiborne Muldrow could sue for sex discrimination, even though the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals found that she had not suffered a materially significant disadvantage because of the transfer. She was initially assigned to a division in which she was able to work weekdays, wear plain clothes, and take part in an FBI task force that gave her access to an unmarked vehicle. In 2017, she was reassigned, and while she retained her base pay, she was required to work some weekends, wear a police uniform, and lost her FBI credentials. She sued under Title VII of Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination in the workplace. Two lower federal courts sided with the city against her. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the typical thing, like we're seeing rolling back of civil liberties, rules and protections. But the difficulty in a situation like this has always been, how do you have the smoking gun? Because unless somebody is saying, I'm demoting you because you are a woman, you know what I mean? Like, unless somebody does something so stupid and you keep a paper trail on them to where you can kind of, get the upper hand in the lawsuit, for the most part, it's going to be like this, a situation where you were demoted, but there's no linkage to where you can, specifically say, here's the smoking gun, this is why they did it, this is retaliation or anything.
Right.
So these are tough cases to win. And to me, this is just more of the same. But yeah, that sucks. Sounds like she got a whole downgrade on the job with less money on top of it. So yeah, that sounds terrible.
Stephen, Todd, do you have anything to say about that?
No, I agree, and that's typical. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You agree. Go ahead. It's typical. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's typical. This is America, set up for white men by white men to advance white men. And when you come in there stepping on their programs, you're going to get demoted.
Is it race involved, Todd? Do you know?
Stephen?
I don't know if race is involved. I don't know much about that, but I'll talk about something I do know. Before Iran retaliated on Israel, they had let Australia know, because they don't have direct contact to Israel or what America. They let Australia know what their plans were, exactly what they were going to do, where they were going to be, and when they were going to let everything go. So that's why that's why we could stop all of it, and nobody got hurt, because it was a show. It was a show retaliation. It wasn't a real one, because it was like to save face. They don't really have enough right now to unless, because they obviously don't have a nuke. They don't have enough to really retaliate the way they want to. So they want to just kind of show the world we're not punks. They're like a lesser of a gang. They're like a gang in New York. It's like the orphans or whatever from the movie The Warriors. That it was a show thing. It's just to save face. And like Israel, like we said, we're not going to help Israel now do something. Israel's going to do something. They're probably going to do a little show thing too. And that's what it's about. It's Iran. They got attacked, and there's really not much they can do. And if we want to get serious and go against Iran, who's death to America, death to Israel, we could do that. We could do that if we want to. So I think they're scooting back in their holes a little bit.
Yeah,
thank you. Our thoughts and prayers go out.
I would suggest you pull up U.S. versus Iran game theory.
Okay.
I mean, war games. we've done war games on what it would take to invade Iran, how much it would cost, casualties, everything, and it doesn't look like a good proposition. This is not Iraq, so this is not something we want to be involved in. And like I'll even give Stephen credit, like Stephen said, they don't want to be involved in it either, but they show wasn't gonna not do anything. So
No, and they should
Yeah, it
not
was
have
just
not
right.
done
They
anything.
had to do something, right? They had to do something just to stay
And-
So it
safe.
says simulated war between U.S. and Iran has grisly end. This is written by Kenneth Pollock, but that was 2012 at the Brookings Institution.
Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah, we
Iran
do
just
those
doesn't
war
have what
games
we
a
have.
lot.
We could just take them out quick
No, we could not.
with
And
Israel.
we're not going to
Those-
be doing that.
No,
The
it's
war
no.
games
I'm
right
not
there are
saying. I'm
telling
saying,
you
but
that's
they
not a
are the head of a particular
Anyway,
snake
you would have to
that
put boots on the
sponsors all this
ground over
terrorism
there.
all over the world. They are
No,
one of the heads.
who's the
If we were going to go
sponsor?
after anybody, we should have went after them and not
No, we
Afghanistan
should
or
have
Iraq.
gone after Putin because Putin is the one that sponsors Hamas.
Thank you. We're out of time. Our thoughts and prayers go to the family of Bob Graham, as seen. I thought I was showing it there. Senator, longtime senator and governor, former governor of the state of Florida, passed away. There's a picture of him. Thank you. To our first responders in our communities, you make our lives livable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To the women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do and sacrificing your lives so that we are free to argue back and forth like Cousin Todd and Stephen. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, who couldn't join us, the Nigerian moderate Republican Keith, who was having Wi-Fi connectivity problems, the constitutional conservative.
His teeth were
Stephen.
jamming the signal. That's what Verizon told me can happen sometimes.
Must have been the hair in my
Stephen, the
beard that was
independent
screwing mine
thinker.
up.
Pastor Joe, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And my cousin Todd. I'm Stacey Johnson. Let's keep this conversation going on X, Instagram, TikTok. Stephanie Stolworth, the Flow Television Network. And what else do we have? Twitch. That's right. We'll see you next week.
See you later, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. You know, Keith had the same problem I did, Stacy.
I couldn't hear that
Well,
music. Could you guys hear the music?
Yeah, I could hear it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you,
I can hear
Stephen,
it.
when you have the Obama phone, that's what happens. It's really
No, man,
not meant
me and-
for broadcasting. It's just
No, me and
meant
Keith
for
say so
pulling
much
people
about the
that-
FBI and CIA. They're dogging our phones. I had to go get my phone right to just come back and do the show because I was having the same problem that Keith was having. I told him to go
Again,
outside and run
when you
around with
have
it a
the
little bit, maybe
Obama
put some
phone-
charge in it. Huh?
Yeah, when you have the Obama phone and you live in the projects,
I don't have an
it
Obama
really
phone.
doesn't. Oh, okay.
I was in line. They told me to get out of line. They wouldn't give me a phone because I didn't fit. So I didn't
The
fit in that line.
FBI and the CIA are not watching you. I promise you, man. They got
They're
much
watching. They're
bigger
watching
fish to
all of
fry.
us, man. The CIA runs Google.
CIA.
Well, on that note, y'all have a good night. Conspiracy
Yeah.
theory, man.
Good night.
You enjoy
Conspiracy
that?
theories always come true.
Good
What do you
talking
call
to
them
y'all.
then? Facts. Then you call them facts.
Good night.
Facts.
Night.
Where do you get these facts? Okay, so
Stacey.
that's it.
Send me the show, Stacey, and I'll answer every one of your questions.
No,
Okay.
That you have.
I asked you where do
Like
you
you said,
get
where
your
do you get this
news?
information?
Yeah, and you never answered. You never answered. That was deliberate. See, he's the
I
Tea
don't
Partier.
watch The View,
See,
so
did
I
you
haven't
see him not answering
expanded
you?
places
So
where I
he
can
didn't
get
answer again.
information.
See, he's not going to ever answer you. I learned the Tea Partiers. We had to learn white people once they kidnapped us.
Because I do a lot of research, I do a lot of reading,
Look,
and I know
look, he's
history.
still
I
not
put
answering
my own. See, it's an independent thinker too. What am I?
Oh,
I don't
gosh.
watch. I don't worship.
I don't want to
Whoopi.
hear what you don't watch.
I don't
said,
worship
where do you
Whoopi.
get your news? And you know who he sounds just like? Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin. They kept asking her, where do you get your news? She never answered. Oh, lots of places. I get it everywhere. I mean, if it's on the TV, if it's in
I've got a name.
magazines,
I've got a
where
name.
do you-
I've got.
and so
I do. I
do
get
you
my
remember that, Stacey?
worldwide. I
do
get
you
worldwide
remember
news from different
Sarah Palin
countries.
kept saying that?
I get news from
She
different
never
countries.
answered. That was
I
what
get
was the
news from
interviewer's name?
a couple different religious
Listen,
radio
I'm
stations
not
and
I'm not
news
dealing
from.
with
You said you want to
because
know
you're
where I got my
crazy.
news.
You're still not answering. So
I'm
I'm finished with
answering. You
you.
said where do I get my news? I've been answering.
I
You're not
am
listening.
finished with you. Not all I want to know from you is when are you and Keith getting married?
We don't accept marriage between two men, man.
Oh,
We don't
well
accept
then
that. Because I
I
talked to First
thought.
Blood. I said, why don't you call it marriage? Because since the beginning of time, it's a
Wait
man
a
and a
minute.
woman.
Wait,
You can't
wait.
change. Once you change that, you
You
change the whole system, man.
slow down. Now
Everybody can. You can
you're
tell. Everybody
double
can love
talking.
anybody they want.
Hey,
You just
listen to
can't get
me.
married.
You're double talking because you
I'm
told
just
me
telling the
you
truth.
had surgery, and I asked you how are you doing after your reassignment surgery, and you never answered me. So I'm leaving. I'm not going to stick
It
around
wasn't
and talk.
reassignment. It was a reduction. It was a reduction in the guys beneath it because I had
All
what they
right,
call
good night.
elephantitis because obviously I've got very big sets, so they had to have a reduction
Oh
done, Todd.
gosh,
And
All right.
they're still bigger than yours.
I
Okay,
bet.
bye, good night. Bye.